Okay, I have an entire series devoted to something called the HUMMER principle. So I'll go ahead and link that in the description below so you can take a look at that. So this will be a very simple example of an application of the HUMMER principle, which is a powerful mathematical card principle. Okay, so for this effect, I've decided to choose 6 red cards and 6 black cards. And this will better enable you to kind of see what's going on before you take a look at that series. But rest assured that you could hide the entire method far more than I'm choosing to here, because I'm hoping to give you a glimpse under the hood to see what's going on. Okay, so for example, instead of using red cards, you could use cards whose card value names have an odd number of letters, like Ace, ACE has 3 letters. 3 has 5 letters in its name, THREE. 6 has 3 letters, SIX, and so forth. And then these could be cards whose card value names have 4 letters in them. So like 4, FOUR, or 5, FIVE, or King, KING, or Jack, or 9, NINE. Okay, so if you were to do that, it would completely hide the method here. Okay, so I just want you to be aware of the fact that this may seem overly transparent to you, but I promise you that even if you perform this routine as is, 95% of spectators haven't a clue as to how you've done it and will be blown away by the routine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll allow the spectator to randomly stack these however they like. Okay, now since the cards are kind of orderly now, why don't we begin to mix them? This is called the Klondike Shuffle. I'm taking the top and bottom cards off as 1. That's all I'm doing. Why don't we follow that up with something called the Charlier Shuffle? And I can add a link in the description below to the Charlier Shuffle. Very powerful shuffle. And then you could even have the spectator cut the cards at any location. Okay. Now at this point, what you do is you show the spectator the identity of the top card. Now, of course, I don't have a spectator here, so I'll have to kind of show the card, but that won't undermine anything we're going to do. So the spectator would need to remember the Queen of Spades. That's their special card. Okay, now it normally would be face down after they've taken a look at it. And then we need just 1 helper card. Okay, so what's our helper card? It looks like it happens to be the Ace of Diamonds. That's going to be our helper card. Okay, so we're going to put the spectator's card right there and the helper card on top facing upward. Okay, now what we can do is any number of cuts with random flipping of 2 cards as 1. Okay, so you do random cut and then flip the top 2 over, set them back down where you got them from. You can actually flip 4 cards if you like, any even number actually. So this is all part of the HUMMER shuffle. So random cut, flip 2, random cut, flip 2 again, or random cut, flip 4, or 6, or 8, or whatever you like. Okay, so you can do this until the spectator, is convinced that the cards are beyond the knowledge of anyone. Oh, and by the way, you can bring in the spectator because you can say, would you like me to set this pair down as is or flip first? Flip, okay, flip, leave as is, flip, leave as is, leave as is. Okay, so we can do that for 2. You can even do it for 4. Leave or flip. Flip, leave, flip. Okay, not drop the cards everywhere. Okay, and now at this point, you can do some optional spelling if you would like to. So for example, since we're working with red and black cards, you could actually spell out red, R-E-D, drop the rest on top, cards, C-A-R-D-S. And we have black cards, and A-N-D, black, B-L-A-C-K, and then cards, C-A-R-D-S. Okay, would you like to do any more of this random cutting and flipping? Just one more random cut, whoops, dropping the cards, and flip the top two. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do, in fact, are you sure you don't want to do a final cut? You want to do one more cut? Okay, that's fine. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to deal out the cards into 6 piles. Let's see, I've got 6 there. We'll set them down like that. Okay. And now we're going to fold the cards, the packets. Now this is a brand new deck, so I have to be careful here. So you're folding the packets, trying to be neat here, from left to right or right to left. Spectator can choose that. Okay, well, let's see if our helper card helped us find your card. Do you see the helper card? I don't see the helper card. Did the helper card really help? Oh, I see you. I see the helper card. There it is, Ace of Diamonds. Well, did it help us find your card, which I never saw, supposedly, right? You as a performer would not have seen it. Well, I think there's one card that just stands out from the rest. Do you notice that? So we have red, red, black, red, 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 red. I'm thinking that our helper card is trying to communicate to us that the Queen of Spades was the card that you saw. Is that the card you saw? And the spectator will say, yes, it was. And how in the world did you do that? Okay, so that is a very simple Hummer routine in which I was dropping the cards half the time, so I apologize for that, but I think you can get the gist of it there. Okay, so maybe just to talk through some of this quickly. Of course, we started with blocks of red and black. So if you perform a Klondike shuffle, that will create an alternating structure of red, black, red, black, red, black throughout. Okay, like that. And that's the kind of thing that we needed for this to work. As I mentioned, if you hide the organization of the cards, the red could be a card that has an odd number of letters in its name. The next card could have an even number of letters in its name, or in particular 4 letters in its name. So this could have an odd number, this could have even number of letters, odd, even, and so forth. And so when you get to the very end, instead of like all the reds except for one facing up, you'll have like all cards that have 4 letters in their names facing up, and then you have one card with like 3 or 5 letters in its name. And for you as the performer, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. Spectator will see nothing. They're not aware of the hidden structure that you're focusing on. Okay, so really all of this can be tremendously hidden if you would like. Okay, but just quickly here, so with this packet, do you remember what I did? Well, you know, we can do Charlier shuffles. Well, those are equivalent to just cutting the cards at any location. That won't hurt a cyclic arrangement of the cards. So it's still alternating red, black, or black, red throughout. Okay, so what we did was I showed you the top card, okay? And supposedly I don't see it, right? So the 9 of clubs, okay? Set that down. And then I said we needed a helper card. So I took the second card. And it's okay for, you know, spectator will see this one because it's going to be face up. So you set this on the table, face up like that, and explain that this is going to help you as the performer identify this card here, even though you haven't seen it, right? Or at least you're not supposed to have seen it in the true performance. Okay, so the sneaky bit is, remember, this was the top card. This was the second card. You put their card, which was the top card, second from the top now. And then the original second card goes on top in the first position. So essentially, you've just switched these two like that. Well, what that does is it puts these 2 cards out of sync relative to the parity of their original position. So this very first one had odd position because it was position 1, and then this one had even position because it was position 2. Okay, so when you switch them like this, it puts them out of sync with all of the other cards. Okay? And so in particular, when you go through the HUMMER shuffle, like we talked about, what will happen at the very end, after performing several HUMMER shuffles, and you can do odd size codings, which is what I did when I did red cards, black cards, and I use the word and, A-N-D. All of those words have 5 or 3 letters in their names, an odd number. And when it comes to HUMMER mixing, you are allowed to count to the table an odd number of cards, and it won't upset anything that's coming. We'll still be successful. Okay, so here I flip 4, maybe I'll flip 2, and so forth. Okay, and then from there you just separate the cards into even position cards and odd position cards, essentially, is what we're going to do. So these were in odd positions, and then even, odd, even, odd, even. Okay? And now, one way to finish a HUMMER procedure is, in this case, to take these little packets and fold them, either from left to right or right to left. Okay? And that is guaranteed to reorganize the packet in a way that all of the red cards are facing one way and all of the black cards are facing another, except for the spectator's card. Okay, and if you remember, the spectator's card was this one here, and our helper card, I believe, was this one right there. Okay, and then on the other end, it's going to be just black cards. Okay, so if you want to understand this principle and be able to use it confidently in other settings, because there's countless card effects you can create, please take a look at the series devoted to the HUMMER principle on my channel. And once again, I'll link it in the description below. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.